Tra, Co, Hutu, Dekotu, Trebomu, Emusohe, Stro, Renu Kendi, Kvindelfer, Tekinu Seli, Dekto, Tre, and Vester, Kileg, Oka, Epil I Podurde, Tidepe, Emette, Kisemner, Osonftete. Where did you come in? I didn't hear a thing.
We entered quietly.
Well?
We want your advice, Mr. Gross. Where should Mr. Pilar log in the incoming correspondence?
How about in the incoming correspondence logbook, Mr. Ballas?
It's full, isn't it, Mr. Pilar?
How about getting a new one?
We have no means, have we, Mr. Pilar?
Didn't the quarterly plan call for 2 logbooks?
It did, but recent contracts affect all future expenses, don't they, Mr. Pilar?
Here, buy a new one.
We thank you very much, Mr. Gross.
Good morning!
Good morning. Hannah, do you know by any chance what this is?
This is a very important official memo, Mr. Gross.
It looks like a bunch of random letters to me.
At the first sight, maybe, but it has very strict rules of its own. It's written in Tidepe,
Tidepe? What's that?
the new official language introduced in our organization.
Why wasn't I told about this?
They probably forgot. May I go for the milk?
Whose idea was it?
It seems to be part of a broader campaign.
Does the deputy director, Mr. Ballas, know?
Yes. May I go for the milk?
Run along. You again?
The authentication department refuses to authenticate the logbook. It wasn't purchased from official funds, so legally it doesn't exist. Does it, Mr. Pilar?
Tell them to authenticate it on my authority.
Wonderful. Would you mind giving that to us in writing?
Absolutely. It would be an unnecessary risk.
Okay. We'll talk them into accepting it.
Mr. Ballas,
Yes, Mr. Gross?
do you know anything about this new language?
I've heard about it.
And you don't happen to know who issued the directive to authorize its use?
Mr. Pilar, do you know who issued the directive?
It wasn't me, so it must have been you, Mr. Ballas.
One issues so many directives that it's hard to remember. It won't happen again.
Did it not occur to you to consult with me?
We didn't want to bother you with trivialities.
What's the point of this new language anyway?
To make official communications more accurate and precise. Is that the right way to put it, Mr. Pilar?
I'm not very keen on this. Promise me you'll put a stop to it by the end of the day. We won't be guinea pigs in someone else's experiments.
Okay.
Good morning!
I'll cancel my directive and record all Tidepe documents. Morning.
I sincerely appreciate that.
We won't be guinea pigs in someone else's experiment.
Exactly! May I?
Go right ahead, Mr. Gross.
Strange relationship, those two.
I could tell you a thing or two.
I don't want to know. They're exemplary workers, and that's all that interests me. Thank God they put a stop to this on time. Did they seriously think anyone would learn this gibberish?
They have set up a special TDP training center.
You're kidding? And is anyone taking the courses?
Everyone but you, Mr. Gross. They made it mandatory.
Who made it mandatory?
The deputy director.
Ballas. But how is my staff expected to work with TDP when they haven't learned it yet?
That's what the special translation center is for, but only until everyone has learned TDP. May I go for the croissant?
A translation center? And where have they put it?
Second floor, number 6.
That's the accounts department.
They moved the accounts department to the basement. May I go for the croissant?
I suppose Ballas ordered that too.
Yes.
That's the
May I
limit.
go for the croissant?
Run along. What is it now?
I'm afraid you will have to give us a written order after all.
I do nothing of the sort.
It's in your own interest.
What do you mean?
You will help our clerical staff if you sign it, and given the talk that's been going on, it
What?
would be a tactical move on your part.
What?
Am I right, Mr. Pillar?
What talk?
Oh, you know, about that business with a rubber stamp.
What about it?
The last inventory review revealed that you occasionally took home the rubber stamp with the organization's bank account numbers on it for your children to play with.
But that's absolute nonsense. I sometimes take the stamp with me when I need to work at home, but not for my kids to play with.
You don't have to explain to us, Mr. Gross, but you know how people are.
And you think, if I sign, the matter will be dropped?
Guaranteed.
Fine, just write me out the order.
I have it right here for you. Mr. Gross, we thank you very much in the name of our whole organization.
By the way, have you put a stop to this TDP thing?
Not yet. We hear that the atmosphere upstairs isn't right. We wouldn't want that to backfire, would we, Mr. Pillar?
That's just an excuse.
Mr. Gross, you don't believe us. And we are hurt!
You go behind my back. You moved the accounts department, you set up a TDP training center, a translation department, and you made TDP courses mandatory.
Only after office hours. Outside those hours, I can do as I please.
I'm not quite sure how to respond to that, but I'm sure some brilliant answer will present itself.
Our primary concern is the best interest of our organization. Right, Mr. Pillar? Naturally, we share your critical view on TDP, but if we comply until the whole experiment comes crashing down, which it will inevitably will, it will help us. And who knows, we might even get that stuffed cafeteria we've been requesting for so long.
That may be true, but the fact remains that you've gone behind my back.
Mr. Gross, we come to you for advice on the tiniest matters. You are unfair to us.
Mr. Ballas, can we be frank to each other?
Mr. Pillar, shall we agree? I accept.
Why did you say you had a critical opinion of TDP when your real agenda is to introduce it as swiftly as possible?
We needed to play for time. An overwhelming majority of the staff supports us, as they know that TDP is the only thing that can put their work on a scientific basis. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Pillar?
I won't be dictated to by a mob.
You may call it a mob, but we call it the masses.
If we deprive employees of the natural language that has evolved over centuries, who will cast them directly into the jaws of alienation. Speaking as a humanist, I can never consent to the introduction of TDP.
Mr. Pillar, what do you make of this?
I suggest that we both part in peace before I am forced to take this thing very seriously.
It appears that the time isn't quite right for a substantive discussion. Let's give him another, what do you say, an hour? He will regret this. Come on, Mr. P.
Unbelievable! Hannah, do you understand TDP?
No, Mr. Gross.
Then how did you know this was an official memo?
They say that initially TDP is only used for special certain official memoranda which are gradually distributed to directors.
What are they about?
I hear they are meant to inform directors about decisions based on inventory review in their department.
What decisions?
Apparently, it ranges all the way from very positive to very negative decisions.
Damn! That rubber stamp. Where did you get all this from?
From the corner store.
Where did you say the translation center was?
Second floor, number 6. You have to go through the TDP training center.
Right. I'm going for lunch.
They're serving duck today, Mr. Gross. Enjoy!
TDP is a synthetic language with strictly scientific rules, a rational grammar, and an extraordinarily broad vocabulary. It can express the nuances of official communication with more precision than any other living language. This, however, makes it exceptionally difficult. Your hard work will be crowned with success only if you rely on determination, discipline, talent, and memory. Above all, you must believe deeply in TDP itself. And now, some of its principles. As we know, natural languages arose unscientifically. Therefore, they betray a certain amateurism. Their unreliability results from the interchangeability of their words. In natural languages, it is often enough to change one letter in a word, as in tool, fool, or to remove a single letter, as in spit, pit, to change the entire meaning of the word. Not to mention homonyms. Think of the embarrassment that can result when two words that are written identically but have different meanings are confused. For example, duck, duck. The first, meaning to lower your head. The second, designating a waterfowl. The family Anatidae, typically a medium-sized bird with a broad mouth, short legs, webbed feet, and undeveloped thumb. By limiting similarities between words, TDP guarantees reliability. For words to resemble as little as possible, they must use the least probable combinations of letters, thereby guaranteeing linguistic redundancy. Redundancy is the difference between maximum and genuine entropy, which equals optimal entropy. To put it simply, the more reliable a language is, the greater redundancy it has, which reduces the danger that by changing one letter in a text, the meaning will be completely altered. So, how does TDEPE achieve redundancy? Very simply, with the so-called rule of 60% dissimilarity. Every word in TDEPE must differ by 60% of its letters from every other TDEPE word. At the same time, every segment of every word must differ from 60% of its letters from every other TDEPE segment of the same word. Okay, for example, of all the 5-letter combinations of the 26 letters of the alphabet, of which there are a total of 11,881,776 possible permutations, one can find 432 possible examples that differ by 3 letters. That is by 60%. Of those 432 possibilities, 17 meet all other requirements and may be used as TDEPE words. That's also why TDEPE words are often long.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Can you tell us what the longest word is in TDEPE?
Of course.
Thank you.
It's the word for the fruit fly, also known as the banana fly, and it has 319 letters. So how does TDEPE deal with the problem of readability in such long words? Very simply, here and there within the word, spaces are inserted so that there are sub-words within the word. But this is not done randomly. It follows a very logical principle. The more general the concept, the shorter the word. So, for example, the most general concept that exists, the word whatever, is expressed in TDEPE by saying huh. Of course, even shorter words do exist. For example, but for the time being, that word has no meaning. Can anyone tell me why? Mr. Thumb!
It's kept in reserve for the possibility that science may discover one day a notion even more general than whatever.
Well done, Mr. Thumb. You get an A.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've come to get acquainted with the Translation Center. I'm the director.
You're the director!
Gross.
Oh,
Andrew Gross.
Sorry that I didn't recognize you. Delighted. I'm Stroll, head of the Translation Center. Please, do have a seat. What is it you wanted to know?
Do you do translations on a while you wait basis?
Certainly, for every employee with a valid TDEPE translation permit.
A special permit?
Yes, because you can't leave TDEPE in our hands, us bureaucrats, because in our hands... Oh, excuse me.
Was Alex here?
I don't know who that is.
So you're a stranger in town.
On the contrary, I'm the director of this organization.
So you're hemmed on and you have to get us a new Parliamentaria, we have to go to hell and back just to get a sec.
And you are who?
Oh, I'm the chairman, Miss Helena Novak.
Chairman of what, if I may be so bold?
Well, I don't know yet, but we're having a meeting today to find out. But I'm so busy, I don't know which way to turn. See you later, alligator.
You were saying that TDP can't be left in the hands of bureaucrats.
Right. That's why we have a TDEPist, whose job it is to monitor the use of TDEP and issue a special translation permit for every translation.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Here are the purple sweet potatoes you wanted, Madam Chairman.
Put them over there by the cupboard.
That's how we generate a database. And with all those translations, we generate statistics.
Right, and who is our TDPist?
Ready?
Ha! This gentleman, Savant. Unfortunately, he can't stay long because we need to go for lunch.
My pleasure. Gross, I'm the director.
Alex Savant. I'm a licensed TDEPist. It's the equivalent of a doctorate, you know.
Well, in that case, Dr. Savant, I need to talk to you. Why does one need a special TDP permit for translations?
We scholars like to take precautions. How should I put this? I'm so used to speaking in TDEPE that it's hard for me to find words in natural language.
Try.
In TDEPE we would say exaggerates, foundations. Without statistics on the use of TDEPE, we miss the foundations to build on.
But can't the person in need of a translation tell you who he is?
That wouldn't be put.
Pardon?
Put. Exact. We do not tolerate any subjective sex stories. I am sorry. Point of view.
I understand. Well, I've got a completely hut-put sextohit of it.
Sextoitet. You forgot that every noun before the adjective put takes the suffix tet.
Or tete.
Or tet.
Enough now, gentlemen. We have to go for lunch.
I hear that it's duck today.
Duck! Excuses, Mr. Gray. We have to go. Are you going to ask for breasts or leg?
I prefer breast myself.
Miss, you don't happen to have a chewing gum, do you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I quit chewing.
What's that?
Oh, these are premium chewing gums. They belong to Mr. Stroh.
May I have one?
He keeps track of them. He'd be very upset.
Maria, darling, why don't you run across the street? I hear their new melons are divine.
Miss, do you know TDP?
A bit?
Can you translate this memo for me?
Oh, it is not allowed until I pass my exam.
What's your name?
Maria.
It's a beautiful name. Maria, nobody will know about this.
Impossible. Besides, the watcher is watching us.
What watcher?
George! He's watching everything through a peephole in the wall.
Goodness gracious.
Everything.
Everything.
Mr. Gross, I must go. Because nobody's going to have a tantrum if the melon's allowed. And we don't want that, do we? I've learned to do as I'm told and to keep my life nice and tidy.
Mr. Watcher? George?
Bastard!
Very funny. Why didn't you answer when I talked to you?
Well, I was testing you.
Do you know who I am? I'm the managing director.
Gone.
I beg your pardon? I expect you to apologize.
God, Trudge!
Time is up. Have you come to your senses?
No.
The introduction of TDEPE is proceeding smoothly. What's your plan?
Mr. Gross, may I go for the peanuts?
I will order an immediate stop to the use of TDEPE in our organization.
You never ordered its introduction in the first place, so there is nothing for you to stop.
Then you'll do it.
I never gave such an order either, did I, Mr. Pilar?
Mr. Gross, may I go for the peanuts?
What do you mean?
There was nothing on paper. It was dependent on your written confirmation.
Then I simply won't provide the written confirmation.
Mr. Gross, may I go for the peanuts?
It's too late now. Run along.
I will report the whole affair to the authorities.
Ha! Hear that, Mr. P? He's unaware that everyone upstairs is on board with TDEPE.
But I'm not going to betray my principles.
Oh, but you will.
And how will you make me?
Remember that logbook? It was authenticated on your illicit order without authorization of the purchase department. That's an abuse of your authority.
You ought to be ashamed of yourselves.
Mr. Pilar, are we or are we not ashamed of ourselves? No, we are not. We are simply concerned for people's interests.
But you forced me to sign.
I don't recall that we forced you.
Remember those insinuations about the missing rubber stamp?
Ooh, I wouldn't bring that up if I were you.
Why not?
If it hadn't been for the rubber stamp, you could claim that you authenticated the logbook out of goodwill. If you bring up the rubber stamp, you'd be admitting that you signed out of cowardice to avoid uncomfortable questions. At the same time, if you hadn't signed, you could pretend that you took the stamp home for work, while by signing, you clearly admitted your guilt. So, can we come to an understanding here?
I see. All right, then I resign.
But that's precisely what we don't want.
So what do you want of me?
We want you to sign the introduction and use of TDEPE.
But you just said that TDEPE would go ahead, even without the written confirmation.
I was being emotional.
So, you think that TDEPE will make official communication more precise?
I'm so glad that we've come to an understanding. Mr. P, give the director a drink. You know how ambiguous natural language can be? A more or less precise term, for example, the term colored, can acquire so many wrong overtones that completely distort its innocent meaning. Now tell me, sincerely, does the word mutarex have any such overtones? You see? Paradoxically, it's the dehumanization of artificial language that guarantees its humane function.
I guess you've convinced me. Bring out the retroactive order, and I'm signed.
Mr. Gross, we are thrilled. And we look forward to working under your judicious leadership. Here is the order that you requested. We'll be working very closely with Mr. Gross, won't we, Mr. Pillar?
Indeed, you will help me through this new situation. Well, in the beginning, we may even have to run this organization together, in a manner of speaking.
Oh, I have a better idea. Why don't I be the director and you be the deputy?
You just said that you were looking forward to working under my judicious leadership.
Oh, but you will have plenty of space to be judicious as a deputy director. Yeah. I will go get my things, and in the meantime, Mr. Deputy Director, would you kindly clean your stuff off my desk? Let's go, Mr. P.
As you wish, Mr. Director. There's nothing else I could have done.
Mr. Gross,
Open resistance would have ended me.
Mr.
And
Gross,
as deputy director, I might still be able to salvage something.
Mr. Gross,
And who's to say that TDP might not turn into something useful in the end?
Mr. Gross,
What is it?
can I go for lunch?
Run along. Why can't I just be a little boy again? I do things quite differently.
Historically, natural languages arose from the unarticulated sounds that primitive beings made in response to the world around them. Thus, the most ancient category of words are exclamations or ejaculations. Given their low frequency in official communications, exclamations/ejaculations form a very easy part of the syllabus. As a demonstration, I'm going to show you, using the exclamation boom, how even in this marginal area, TDP is rich and precise.
Mrs. Lear, sorry to interrupt, but I happen to have a brief TDP text. Why don't you translate it for variety's sake and show us what TDP looks like in practice?
Well, I have my own pre-approved sample text already, but I'm willing to read it out of interest once I've determined that you have a genuine interest in TDP. Take a seat. Now, the exclamation boo is used in an office context, generally speaking, when one employee wishes to startle another employee. If he hides and expresses this threat to an employee who is not expecting the ambush, he would use the TDP word "gedain relong." However, the expression "osomsterte" is used in a situation in which the second employee expects to be startled. Eggain I trodatus is used if the employee has revealed his presence and is merely pretending to startle the second employee as a joke. If it's not meant as a joke, you say egget kuts. Isista itordaif is used from a high rank to a low rank employee. Ixap nazor tazax is used from a low rank to a high rank employee, but only on days set aside for its use. Now let's see if you've been paying attention. How does an employee say boo to another employee who is not expecting to be startled? Mr. Thumb?
Gedairelo.
Excellent. And if the second employee expects to be startled?
He really expects it,
Yes.
and the perpetrator is hidden.
Yes.
Damn, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Mr. Thumb.
Som fterte.
There. You see? Another try. How does a high-rank employee test the alertness of a low-rank employee?
High rank
Yes?
towards low rank.
Yes.
I happen to know that one.
So?
We're talking about the interjection boo, correct?
All right, I see. Mr. Thumb.
I sista dörren.
Excellent. Mr. Thumb. Third try. How does an employee say boo to another employee when he does not mean it as a joke?
I'm sorry.
I'll give you a hint. Egg.
Right! Egg yet.
I'm afraid not. Mr. Thumb, tell him.
Egget kus.
Right. And yet doesn't mean anything. Those are two subwords of the word egyetkuz.
I missed that third subword.
You missed the first two subwords too. Just as you've missed all the Tedepe that I've taught you here today. If we add that ejaculations are the simplest aspect of Tedepe, we must conclude that in your case, it's not simple inattention, but inability. An inability that stems from a hidden skepticism about its importance. Under such circumstances, I don't see why I should translate your unapproved memo, Jozuk, Bozuk, Jit.
That's a lot of fuss about 3 little words.
Let's continue. Mr. Thumb, can you tell me how a low-rank employee says boo to a high-rank employee on days set aside for its use?
Except Southern Ajax.
Excellent, Mr. Thumb! You get an A! Let me ejaculate all my enthusiasm to you with the Tedepe equivalent for bravo. Gulukutiri Pepesta Club!
Certainly going for it.
They're celebrating Mr. Papadopoulos' birthday. The Greek guy, you know?
Is Madame Madam Chairperson coming.
In a moment. Ross, is it true you're not the director anymore?
Mr. Ballas and I traded places.
Deputy director is also a very responsible position.
Absolutely. In some ways, even more responsible than being director. Are they breaking plates? This is organizational property.
Mr. Cross, have you been to any of the office parties? Apparently not. We only live once. That's my favorite dance. It's in the daily. You know how to dance it?
It doesn't sound Greek to me.
Nowadays, all songs in our organization are translated to Tibetan.
You poor things, you are both hot. Look at me. This is how you dance it. Like this. Like this. Keep practicing, Mr. Rose. Keep practicing. You come with me, darling. I need you to do something for me.
George,
Yes?
are we friends again?
Well, whatever you say.
Are you watching the party? Is it nearly over?
They're finishing the dessert wine.
Is that so?
Was she embarrassed?
At first. But if we had more time, we could have gone as far as Tiborg.
De Gaibul. How old did you say she was?
80.
Just my time.
I can just a teensy bit younger.
Oh, time for coffee.
Hell yeah! Where's Maria?
I bet the deputy director knows where she is.
Me?
I all know you have the hots for her.
I beg your pardon?
You called her your sweet thing. The watcher heard you.
I'm just doing my job.
Maria!
Oh, she's ironing my underwear.
Oh.
I'll make the coffee myself. Where's the kettle?
We're terribly sorry, Mr. Gross, but there's not enough coffee for you.
I don't want coffee.
Helena, the deputy director doesn't want coffee. Make mine a double. Shall we have a premium chewing gum, Doc?
Madam Chairperson,
Oh, where's the coffee?
These are not ordinary chewing gums. Thank you.
do you think I could?
They're terribly strong, Mr. Gross. I wouldn't recommend it. You'd probably choke on it.
Madam Chairperson,
Oh, you can call me Helena, darling.
Madam Helena, I heard you provide employees with
Duck, dessert wine, and premium chewing gum.
It doesn't get any better.
Where do you go for water?
I'll get it for you.
I heard you give employees the documentation for permission to translate from Tidepe.
Yes, to everyone who has not recently received a Patitapi memo.
How does that make sense?
Where do you go for the cups?
I'll be right there.
What did you say?
Why do you make that exception?
Well, I can't issue the documentation to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, not knowing if the memo contradicts the most recent inventory.
The only brand the late lamented Ilya Brusky liked. A real connoisseur.
A tragic loss.
Wouldn't it be enough if,
Oh, sugar. What did you say?
wouldn't it be enough if an employee showed you the memo?
Well, I'm not allowed to translate Patitapi.
Brusky was very fond of duck.
Ilya, he's killed for it.
So what's an employee to...
Water spoiling! What did you say?
So what's an employee to do in this situation?
Well, he can have his memo translated. Boys, today we're having coffee like a Hinnigan. Ha!
Look, you Alex.
Oh, na gibt Heizitze.
Mr. Stroll,
Hij doet het kip andaksen. I beg your pardon.
Andakse Balzac.
to translate from TDP, you need a permit from Dr. Savant.
Oh, en dat is het.
H2Z noodtoet.
Excuse me, doctor.
Gewitz at Lagerux. I beg your pardon.
Oh, Lagerux Nagel.
To issue the permit, you require documentation from Miss Novak.
Logres die Ilya Brunski, Zef of Abagon.
Volde Abagon.
Miss Novak, Madame Helena.
I've gone 5-4. I beg your pardon.
5-4? Jacha?
You issue the documentation only after the employee has his memo translated.
Gachas, gun.
Gun, not red.
Not Rabbi.
Silence! As deputy director, I demand some respect. You may sit down. Apparently, when an employee has recently received a TDP memo, he can have his text translated only after his memo has been translated. But what if the very thing he wishes to translate is his own memo? You see the paradox? How can this employee break out of this vicious circle?
He can learn TDP, Mr. Gross. You may sit down.
When did you come in?
A moment ago,
I didn't hear you.
we were being discreet.
Well, please excuse me.
Mr. Gross, when our entire organization struggles to introduce TDP, and someone so maliciously ridicules these efforts and speaks of, and I quote verbatim, of a vicious circle, this can never, ever be excused.
If you'll allow me, Mr. Ballas, I just took the liberty to point out a fact.
You can't expect us to fall on our knees when faced with facts.
I plead guilty. And to broaden my confession, I admit that I abused my authority by ordering the illicit authentication of a logbook. I did this to bury the fact that I removed an official rubber stamp from my office for personal use. And for this, I wish to receive the harshest punishment.
Under these circumstances, you can no longer remain in our organization. What do you say, Mr. Pillar? No. Come to my office tomorrow morning to undertake the formalities of your dismissal. George, come out. You are going to be the deputy director. You may leave. Let's go, Mr. P.
Maria, darling, I hear they've got soft avocados across the street. You know how rare they are. Would you mind? Quick!
They called me the snitch. Well, watch me now. Watch the watcher.
Uner rekirge idnek villa edivs uzed lantnirk ref uniket iles. Do you know Tidepe?
Pardon me. Mary, can I see you for a moment?
Excuse me,
When did you come in?
a moment ago.
What do you want?
I was supposed to see you regarding my dismissal.
I'm busy now. Come back in a while.
Sorry, thank you. I will.
What did you want?
Good morning.
Morning. Anna, you know Tidepe, don't you?
Unfortunately, I had to give up Tidepe classes. May I go for the milk?
Why?
I wasn't good enough. May I go for the milk?
You should be ashamed. You are the director's secretary.
I don't do shame, Mr. Ballas. May I go for the milk?
Off you go. I hope you don't end up like her.
Mr. Ballas, can you lend me Perry for a minute?
By all means, don't mind me.
Thank you, my friend.
Penny, Penny, Penny.
Excuse me.
I meant a longer while.
I'm sorry. I'll come back later.
What did he want? I don't like him using that familiar tone with you. Is Tidepe that hard to learn?
It makes great demands on one's memory.
Others have manners.
Most people drop out.
You should have stuck to it.
You dropped out after the first lesson, Mr. Ballas.
That's different. You think that managing this colossal organization is a piece of cake?
Besides, people say that TDP has questionable principles. Can I go for the muffins?
Who said that?
Mr. Pilar?
He certainly did not. So, who actually knows Tidepe?
Only our instructor and our colleagues from the translation center. Can I go for the muffins?
So, it's possible.
Can I go for the muffins?
Off you go. You've got a very big mouth.
Hi guys, Perry sweetie, would you mind? See you later, alligator.
I teach you a lesson. Perry.
Excuse me.
Already.
Sorry, I'll come back later.
Wait a moment.
Yes, Mr. Ballas?
I just wanted to say that I went too far yesterday. My nerves are on edge with everything happening.
Oh, you're very kind. But you're still letting me go, right?
Well, now, maybe we don't need such drastic measures. Of course, you can't be the deputy director anymore.
Of course.
But I might have another spot for you.
Really? What?
The position of the water just opened up.
You think I'm up to the job?
Well, we put you on trial period and see how it goes.
That's very kind of you. When can I start?
Right now?
Thank you most sincerely.
What is it want? Don't play games with me. Who said that TDEPE has questionable principles?
Everyone but you, Mr. Ballas.
What else are they saying?
That you'll come around.
After all I've done for them. Can you at least let me know what this might be about?
Oh, this could be about a protest.
A protest? Why a protest?
They say that protest written in TDEPE is given top priority.
Where did you hear that?
In the bakery.
If anyone thinks they can just up and write a protest, then I am going to lunch.
They are serving goulash today, Mr. Ballas. So run along. Now.
And now, let's see our most common TDEPE interjections. Our is Zukai bitch. Our ow is biker. Our is Bolipachvik. Our wow is Hoofdai Dobertal. The expression of mild surprise, my, is said as zik, but the slightly more emphatic my, is not, as some students erroneously believe, zik zik, but zik zim. Whoopee! To express excitement is hetadix Yehovah, but whoopee, meaning perhaps a sexual act as in making whoopee, is maluzrog. Yikes is hatum.
Mom,
Mr. Thumb.
can you please tell me how to say oopsie daisy?
Certainly. Mikkel. Psst is Katudab. The poetic invocation O is Hulugip. Phew. Is usually lemur, although I prefer Krub Umutur. Our important hooray is Fernug, Ko, Dabuk, Sabarubgos, Terexis. And now, a brief test. Yikes. Mr. Thumb.
Hatem,
Psst. Mr. Thumb.
cut it up!
Whoopee.
To signify excitement?
No, as in making whoopee. Mr. Thumb.
Maluzrog!
Maluz.
Maluz!
Maluz.
Maluz!
Listen carefully.
Maluz!
Your pronunciation is poor, Mr. Thumb. How do you say my?
Verninkodax.
And my?
16!
Mr. Thumb. What about goodness gracious?
We haven't learned this yet.
That's no excuse. Hooray!
Verninkodax, Sabarubgop Terexis!
Gos Terexis! Mr. Thumb, that's not the way to get ahead. I've invested so much hope in you, and you turn around and what? Well, we certainly can't go on this way. Because before you know it, you turn this place into a what? Well, a what? Come on, answer.
A nursery school.
No.
A kindergarten.
No.
Ooh, A crazy house.
Yeah, that's more like it. A crazy house. Under such circumstances, I can't let you continue here and hold the others back. I'm going to have to ask you to leave the class. And now, to end my first series of classes on a joyful note, I'm going to sing a song by Barbara Streisand. And I'd like you all to translate while you listen.
It looks beautiful. Relax, it's me, Gross.
Where are you?
I'm the watcher. Ballas dropped his dismissal and gave me this job.
Goodness, the Watcher? I had found you a new job.
What job?
In the theater.
Oh, but I'm not an actor.
You could handle a small part. A butler, a messenger, or you could just be a fronter.
You're very kind, but you know people in the theater?
My brother's a producer.
That's very kind of you. Maria,
Yes.
it's strange. I can't stop looking at you.
Mr. Gross.
Maria, I hear they've got lemons across the street. Can you bring me some?
Are you there?
Of course, Mr. Ballas.
How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Good. And otherwise,
What do you mean, otherwise?
what are employees saying about Tidepe?
I'm awfully sorry, Mr. Ballas, but I'm not really a... You see what I mean?
I see. You're still a prisoner of the old ways, but you must understand that it's your moral duty. Just a moment. Is that clear?
Yes, Mr. Ballas.
So, how is the translation going?
Very well.
Good. How many texts have you translated?
Into Tidepe or from Tidepe?
Let's say, into Tidepe.
One.
That's it?
That's actually quite a lot.
Just a moment. Why is it taking so long?
Every expression in Tidepe has several variations. And we often have to ask the authors of the text themselves what they mean. Right, Doctor?
Often these writers don't know what they mean themselves. Their mother tongue can't handle such a degree of precision.
Why don't you get help?
No one here has an in-depth command of Tidepe. Mr. Peabody was the only one, but he left to join the Tupperware Company.
Okay. You must speed up. The word will not end if a word here or there isn't precise.
Excuse me, Mr. Ballas, I have a meeting to attend to.
Doctor, couldn't you tell me how is from a professional point of view, of course, how is TDEPE actually working out?
It's hard to say without statistical data.
Just a moment. What's the experience in other organizations?
Pretty good, on the whole. Having said that, whenever TDEPE catches on, it acquires characteristics of a natural language. You see, emotional overtones, ambiguities. Wouldn't you say so, Helena?
Oh, absolutely. Imprecisions, ambiguities, so I've been told.
But then, TDEPE loses its purpose.
You could say so. Excuse me, Mr. Ballas. Can I leave? I have a meeting.
You are excused. Miss Novak, you and I have always talked man to man, so tell me, frankly, don't you feel that TDEPE isn't working out? And to put it bluntly, it's holding us back?
To tell you the truth, Mr. Bellis, I do. Can I go now?
No. Andrew, I hope you aren't taking what happened yesterday too seriously. It was a bit of a show. I'm going to call you Andy. Is that okay?
Of course, Mr. Ballas. I'd be delighted.
And anyway, Andy, come out of there. You aren't going to do this type of work. For Christ's sake, I mean you should be the deputy director.
After everything that's happened?
Well, we should take risks, damn it. I am not letting you take the fall for this. Right now, we are facing difficulties with TDEPE.
So I've heard.
And I need you here. Have a seat. Where is the enthusiasm that we had when we first started TDEPE? When the cause was at stake, we were ruthless. Remember those days?
Whatever you say.
Andy, you have experience from the early days, and I know the current situation, so why don't we join forces? Let's have a drink tonight and make a roadmap for ourselves. Who else can I depend on if I can't depend on you?
But I don't want...
No, go get George and ask him to step back into the watcher's position. He will have to understand. He did a great job there. Mr. Stroll, you still haven't told me how these translations from TDEPE are going.
From TDEPE. I haven't started yet.
Oh. Dr. Savant, why not?
I have no permit from Dr. Savant.
Dr. Savant, why haven't you issued the permit?
I can't without personal documentation.
Miss Novak, and has no one brought you the documentation from Miss Novak?
No one.
Miss Novak, why won't you release that damn documentation?
I can only issue the documents when I'm sure the conclusions are not in conflict with those of the memo. And I don't know the conclusions of the memo because they're in Petite and I'm not allowed to translate them. Hasn't Go bought those lemons yet?
Then why doesn't Stroll translate them?
I can't without a permit from Savant.
Then Savant needs to issue the permit.
I can't because no one has the proper documentation from Novak.
Do you hear that, Miss Novak? You have to release that material.
I'm not allowed to translate.
Then why doesn't Stroll translate them?
I can't without a permit from Savant.
Then Savant needs to issue the permit.
I can't because no one has the proper materials from Novak.
Do you hear that, Miss Novak? You simply have to release that material.
I'm not allowed to translate them.
I'd be interested to know who thought up this vicious circle.
You did, Mr. Ballas.
And what if I did? At the time, it made profound sense. Today, we've moved on. Therefore, I introduce, effective immediately, the following simplifications. Miss Novak can issue documentation without knowing the contents of the memoranda. Savant can issue translation permits without personal documentation. Stroll will not require a permit from Savant for his translations. And now, translate this for me.
A protest. We, the undersigned employees in the accounts department, strongly protest against the relocation of our offices to the cellar. And we declare that we can no longer work in these conditions.
That's enough! You can go!
Do you know what would happen if anyone saw you here?
I'm not the watcher anymore. Ballas made me his deputy director again.
Oh, congratulations.
I'd have been better off as the watcher.
Yes, the job ahead won't be pleasant.
Let's not talk about that. Enjoy yourself and drop in to see me sometime.
Has anyone translated the thing you wanted to translate yesterday?
Oh, the memo? No. And in the end, it's probably a good thing.
Did they find anything wrong in the last inventory review?
No. Well, I had the rubber stamp at home with me, that's true. But for work, not for my kids to play with, which is what they're accusing me of.
If you have a clear conscience, you have nothing to worry about.
My dear child, what do you know of the world? And even so, I hope you remain just as you are. You see, you have to be firm in your life. Unfortunately, I was never firm. I was more of an intellectual type, indecisive, a dreamer. I retreated too quickly. I trusted people too much. Maybe it's because I belong to a strange, lost generation. We invested the best years of our life in things that weren't worth it. We spoke for so long about our grand mission that we neglected to do something real. But I still believe that I can recover from all those traumas and start all over again without historical self-pity, quite differently.
Do you have that memo with you?
Surely you don't
I'm
want...
not a child. I know what I'm doing. Give it to me. Dear Mr. Director, the most recent inventory review has shown that the accusation of the appropriation of the rubber stamp is completely unfounded. On the contrary, We emphasize the positive results of this review, which show that you manage your office conscientiously and responsibly. This is also confirmed by the clear position you always took on TDEPE. Our attitude towards that project was always utterly negative because we consider it extremely harmful and anti-humanistic. We recommend that you liquidate all efforts to introduce TDEPE and take strong action against those who introduced it for their personal gain. We wish you every success, and we remain yours with collegial greetings. Signature illegible.
Thank you so much, Maria. At long last, you give me an opportunity to demonstrate that I have more courage than I've ever shown. And I promise you, this time, I shall not give way to anything.
Andy, you're turning into a man. I could perhaps say a start to respect.
Maria, first, I must deserve your sympathy. Goodbye.
That was a very silly thing you did there, Maria.
What are you doing here?
Oh, I came back a while ago, and I must say I don't regret it. You must certainly understand why.
What happened to those lemons?
I do understand.
I have come to announce that your era is over. My memo has been translated, and it states that I'm innocent in a rubber-stamped matter, and I am the only authorized director of this organization. Moreover, it calls upon me to eliminate TDP immediately.
Hannah, weren't you going for the peanuts?
May I?
Run along. And bring me some chewing gums too. Excuse me, you were saying?
I have been asked to eliminate TDP and take action against those who introduced it for personal gain. History has absolved me, and
In the moment, Mr. Dealer. You were saying?
history has absolved me. And relying on my restored power, I will repair what has occurred. Your actions cry out for retribution.
Thanks, Hannah. You were saying?
Your actions cry out for retribution. You see, I am a humanist, and my conviction as a manager is that each employee is human and must become ever more human. I will fight for reason and morality.
Just a moment, Mr. Dealer. Just a moment. You were saying?
I will fight for reason and morality and struggle against everything you have committed. Under those circumstances, it is no longer possible for you to remain in our organization. So kindly move out of my desk.
Chewing gum?
I said, kindly move out of my desk.
After lunch, okay?
I'm glad you're not offering pointless resistance.
Why
After
should
lunch is fine.
Yeah, of course, why should I resist?
You agree with me?
Yes, I've seen the light.
You have?
I have. I've seen that TDEPE is nonsense. I fought for it, but it was a mistake. I meant well, but I failed, and now I must bear the consequences. Just give me a second, Mr. Pilar.
I'm surprised at how calmly you're taking this.
Your harsh but just words express what I tragically felt some time now. I am relieved I no longer have to do work I don't believe in. I wish you good luck eliminating TDEPE, and I will help you to the limits of my humble abilities.
It seems like you've been doing some soul searching.
I have.
What did you mean when you said you were going to help me?
No?
Not now.
Really?
Not now.
If you don't take one, I'll feel insulted. I mean, as your deputy, of course. What else?
There's been a misunderstanding. I said you had to leave our organization.
Surely you wouldn't go that far.
I do not intend to repeat my former mistakes.
I let you stay on as the deputy.
But that was different. I was rightfully the director. And truth was on my side from the very beginning.
It's easy to oppose something all along. It's far harder to start out supporting something and run the risk of ending up flat on your face.
You are still chiefly to blame. So pack your paper clips and get out of here.
Aren't you rushing things? That's a retroactive order for the introduction of TDEPE, and your signature is on it, not mine. Just a second, Mr. Pilar. So, who is chiefly to blame here?
You forced me to sign this.
Me? I don't recall.
Or with your sneaky tricks about the authentication of the logbook.
I wouldn't bring that up if I were you.
Why not?
You still don't get it. If it hadn't been for the logbook, you could claim that you approved TDEPE because you were convinced about it. Whereas, if you bring up the logbook, you'd admit that you approved TDEPE out of cowardice. To avoid reprimand for the logbook, you plunged the entire organization into catastrophe. At the same time, if you hadn't signed, you could claim that you didn't know that authenticating the logbook broke regulations, while by signing, you clearly admitted your guilt. Both your misdemeanors are uniquely intertwined and leave no doubt as to who the truly guilty party is here. So, can we come to an understanding?
Then, let's both resign.
As far as I am concerned, I have absolutely no idea why I should resign.
You are willing to help me in a constructive way.
I'm so glad our conversation is back on track. Of course! I'd be delighted to help you. Come on, go ahead. Take one.
You're experienced, and you work like a mule. Would you also work like a mule against TDEPE?
I can't do things any other way. I'm coming, Mr. Pilar. I'm coming.
Someone's got to take the fall for this. You know how people are.
Leave that to me. I am ready, Mr. Pilar.
Mr. Ballas. This delegation, under the direction of Mr. Pillar, consists of people who believed in TDEPE and were in charge of introducing it. It is therefore so much more difficult for us to appear before you and warn you against propagating TDEPE any further. But precisely because we did so much for TDEPE, it is our duty to draw your attention to the irresolvable contradictions connected with it.
Dear friends, I am aware how desperate was the situation we got ourselves into with TDEPE. I can assure you that it has caused me more than one sleepless night. As your director, I take substantial portion of the blame. We meant well, but we did it badly. And now, with redoubled energy, we must struggle to repair the damage. Therefore, I am taking concrete initiatives towards the solution of the situation. Firstly, I am resigning from the position of the deputy, handing it over to the one most qualified, Mr. Andrew Gross, who, throughout the era of TDEPE, remained loyal and even suffered for his convictions. I myself gratefully accept the position of his deputy in order to make amends for the sins that I have committed, albeit with the best of intentions. And now, I give the floor to our colleague, Mr. Andrew Gross.
What else is there to add? I'm not angry with you. I know you meant well. And this delegation proves that you come in the name of reason and morality. But in other words, let bygones be bygones. Our main concern now is the future. And you know, I would challenge you.
Excuse us, Mr. Ballas, but we are not satisfied with such a brief explanation. We have given our lives to a struggle for the wrong goal, and we want to know who was responsible. We have a right to know who fooled us.
Dear friends, we are all guilty.
That's an empty phrase.
We deserve to know who fooled us.
We want names.
Fine. I tell you then, you might have noticed a silent, mysterious man walking about our office. None of us knew exactly what he was doing here. I got to know this man because I was working under his constant surveillance. Inexhaustible were the methods by which he compelled us to do things we didn't agree with. Present on every occasion, he was concealed under the cloak of quiet servility. And it's no accident that today, when the purpose he served has been lost, he penetrated your delegation wearing the mask of an opponent of TDEPE.
You are envious and possessive, and you're doing this out of pure malice. Death to artificial languages! Long live natural speech! Long live mankind!
Come in.
Oh, welcome, Mr. C. Come in. This is Mr. Colum.
Well, as I was saying, what matters now is the future. And I challenge you all to struggle for the rocket.
Just a moment, Andy. Our colleagues are tired. We can tell them about the future tomorrow. May I suggest we all go for lunch? Who is in favor?
Yes!
Bravo!
Bring on the good egg!
Yes!
There's nothing else I could have done. At least as director, I can manage to salvage something. Why can't I just be a little boy again? I would do everything quite differently.
Well, you might do everything differently, but you'd end up exactly the same, so who cares, even if you did.
Mr. Gross? I'm going for lunch.
fundamental error of TDEPE was that it placed too much emphasis on redundancy. Redundancy became the slogan of the day, but what was overlooked was that aside from useful redundancy, there existed useless, mechanical redundancy. This resulted in pointless, empty texts and made official texts absurdly long. For example, I once heard about a simple military requisition order for toilet seats that required 36 single-spaced pages of text. Another disastrous example was that in the attempt to achieve maximum dissimilarity between words in a sequence, vocabulary was increasingly reduced. In some cases, there was only a single way forward, or the author simply could not go on writing. The new synthetic language, Oracle, has benefited from the errors of TDEPE. Instead of trying to achieve reliable text through dissimilar words, ShoreCore, on the contrary, uses similar words. The more alike the word, the more related are the meanings. So any deviation in the text is a minuscule deviation from its true meaning. ShoreCore is just very easy to learn. It's often enough to know one word in a semantic category in order to be able to guess other words with a similar meaning. Yes?
Could you give us an example of how that works?
Certainly. In ShoreCore, Monday is Ilopagar. Tuesday is Ilopager. Wednesday is Ilopagur. Thursday, Ilopagir. Friday, Ilopagaur. Saturday, Ilopagur. What do you think Sunday is, Mr. Thumb?
Ilopagor!
Excellent, Mr. Thumb. You get an A. Isn't it easy? And the beauty of it is errors are insignificant. Because, for example, if an employee sends a notice for a meeting and they say Ilopager instead of Ilopagur, this in no way distorts the content or the purpose of the meeting. At the very most, the employees will meet on a Tuesday instead of a Friday, so the meeting will occur sooner. So they'll have more time to address the matter. See you next Ilopager!
I am sorry, but I promised the director I would work like a mule. And I don't want to break that promise on the very first day. What's going on next door?
It's Mr. Tonino Puccignoni's birthday. The Italian guy, you know?
Mr. Ballas, can you tell me what the hell is going on here?
What do you mean?
They've started teaching another artificial language.
ShoreCore?
We agreed that all official communication are to be conducted in our mother tongue.
I don't recall any such agreement.
My memo clearly states that
Nothing in that memo says what language we should use. Settling our accounts with TDEPE doesn't mean that we abandon all attempts to make official communications more precise. That would be like throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
the way I
Am I not
understood it,
right, Mr. Colum?
the way I understood it,
You understood wrong. You've lived in isolation for so long that you've lost touch with reality. That's tragic. Now, I don't want to manage this organization for you, but when I see you fumbling and going again against the majority, I simply have to intervene.
In that case, wouldn't it be simpler if you were the director and I would be your deputy?
I made that call once. I was wrong. And I don't wish to repeat the same mistake. We should both do what suits us. They are really getting into it now, eh? Shall we join them?
Andrew,
What is it?
you didn't tell me that the watcher had come back. He saw everything.
What do you mean?
He translated your memo.
So what?
He reported me, and I was fired from making an unauthorized translation from Tidepe.
But Tidepe's history.
Mr. Bala said, an order is an order, and what was to stop me from making another unauthorized translation from Chodagor as well? He said he promised you he would work like a mule and that he didn't want to break that promise.
What are you going to do?
Forgive me for bothering you with this, but could you maybe revert the decision? Or at least speak on my behalf?
My dear Maria, we live in a strange era. As Hamlet said, our time is out of joint, our age has gone mad. Think about it. We are able to split the atom, yet unable to prevent the splitting of our own personality. We are reaching out for the moon, yet it's increasingly difficult to reach out for ourselves. We've built superb communication between continents, yet communication between human and human is hard. Our lives have lost a higher reference point, and we are irresistibly falling apart, alienated from the world, from other people, and from ourselves. We're like Sisyphus. We roll the boulder of life up the hill of illusory meaning, only to have it roll back down again into the valley of our own absurdity. People have never before felt so pushed to the edge of unresolvable contradiction between the will that drives their moral subjectivity and the objective possibility of its ethical realization. Manipulated, fetishized, automatized, humans lose the experience of their own totality and gaze upon themselves as upon alien beings. My dear Maria, I'd be terribly happy to do what you ask. And I'm more the more horrified to realize that I can do next to nothing. Because I am, in fact, alienated from myself. My longing to help you is at odds with the responsibility that I, wishing to defend the last traces of humanity, have had thrust upon myself by the permanent threat represented by Ballas and his people. I simply cannot risk everything by provoking open conflict. I do not wish to complicate this already complex situation and turn your whole affair into a tragedy. let's be matter of fact. You are still young. You've got your whole life ahead of you. How many people can responsibly say today that they have a brother in the theater? Who knows? Maybe one day you'll be grateful to Mr. Ballas for pushing you to a career as a famous actress. The most important thing is to not lose hope, or your smile, your love of life, and your faith in people. Take reason in your hand and lift your head up high. I know it's absurd, my dear Maria, but for now, I have to go to lunch. Farewell.